Hi, this is George Sandman. I'm the founder and CEO of Growth Drive. Growth Drive is the #1 best-selling business advising platform, and this is our podcast, the Business Advisor Hot Seat. Now, in the hot seat, you're going to hear from industry leaders, thought leaders, your colleagues who are going to share tips, techniques, war stories about building a thriving advisory business based on delivering client wins. We're going to get into it. We'll get into it about the Growth Drive methodology, the Clarity software, what we see out in the world, so much more than just the system. And I'm also the author of The Growth Driving Advisor, which is based on over a decade of being an advisor to advisor, working with you and your colleagues, helping them build their practices, helping them through client engagements, and it's really proven strategies for leading businesses from stuck to best in class. Check it out. So strap in. We're going to light this up. Here we go. Well, welcome, ladies and gentlemen, and here I'm excited for this week's edition of the Business Advisor Hot Seat. With me is Susan Latremoille. She is with Next Chapter Lifestyle Advisors you're in Toronto, right?
That's right.
And we happen to run into each other at the EPI convention or summit in Nashville here just 3 weeks ago now, and what a terrific event, right? So, Susan, I'm going to turn it over to you. Rather than me describe what you do, I'd love to know what do you do? Where do you guys focus? And why do clients, at the end of the day, why do your clients hire you?
Right. Great. Be happy to address all of that. Thank you so much for having me here today. So we met a few weeks ago in Nashville at the Exit Planning Institute Summit, and our involvement with Exit Planning Institute goes back a couple of years when they asked my partner and myself in Next Chapter Lifestyle Advisors to join the faculty to teach the personal planning leg of the stool. For any of the CEPAs that are listening, they're obviously familiar with the 3 legs of the stool within the value acceleration methodology. And we're really excited because this has been the first time that there's really been meat on the bones of the personal planning leg of the stool. So our company, Next Chapter Lifestyle Advisors, really serves 2 main audiences. The first is financial advisors, CEPAs, exit planning advisors, anyone who's involved with working with business owners as they build their companies and prepare for their eventual exit. And for most financial advisors, this is pretty foreign territory. Once you step outside the technical discipline of managing money or doing a financial plan or, selling insurance or whatever the specialty of the advisor is. And that's a real shame that advisors have never really been trained or introduced to how to integrate the personal planning side of the client's life with their financial plan. So we train financial advisors on how to have those conversations, what red flags they should be looking for, what some of the challenges are that people face as they exit from a personal standpoint, some of the emotional and psychological challenges that people face. And then as a professional advisor, without stepping outside your lane, but to actually start to introduce these conversations and then provide your clients with the tools and resources they need to help them plan for their next chapter. And so that's one thing we do is work with financial advisors, and our timing here is pretty good because we're just launching our new Certificate in Next Chapter Personal Planning program. And it is geared
I had no idea. That's great.
Financial advisors and CEPAs of all stripes. It's 5 modules of 90 minutes each. And it really is all our work of the last 5-6 years and my 38 years of experience as a financial advisor compressed into this certificate program. So I really encourage people to have a look at it, especially if they're a kind of advisor that says, managing money and doing financial plans is really just table stakes now. And I need to find ways to add value to my client relationships and to differentiate myself from all the other competitors that I have out there. So that's the one primary audience that we serve is financial advisors and CEPAs who want to go further than just, I manage money.
Yeah, I love that. I love that so much. Now there are a bunch of topics I want to hit on. Something that you just, I had warned you in the green room that this is just a free flow conversation. I I have a question that our AI cooked up for you, but what you're really talking about, and what I love about what you've just described, a lot of business advisors don't truly appreciate the fact that the wealth advisor has an immortal relationship with the client. Right? We talk about AUM, we talk about the exit, but that's great. The financial advisor's relationships goes over the end of their career and into the rest of their life. And I'm really excited for this conversation. We talk about creating immortal businesses, but it's ultimately the relationship when the immortal business and the immortality of the founder, if you will, uh, part ways. I love that you're getting into that. So
Yeah,
you
that's
you
really is it's a way really for those advisors to not just provide services prior to the exit, but to retain those clients actually after the business owner has exited. And I have to tell you a very sad story that happened to me because I wasn't aware of this at the time. As I mentioned, 38 years as a financial advisor, I had a
Yep.
client who had a very successful aerospace parts company, and I just managed a few million of his retirement money, but all his money really was tied up in the company. Another organization actually was handling the transaction. I was working for a small independent firm that didn't have the M&A capacity,
Yeah.
and so he went elsewhere for the deal to be done. I was not involved in any aspect of that deal, but had I been involved with helping him think through what he was going to do next when he was no longer at the helm of his company, I would have been involved throughout the process, and he definitely would have come back to me after the deal was done. Instead, because I really didn't have a part to play in the transaction, he took his money that I was managing as well as the proceeds of his huge
Yeah.
sale, and he went elsewhere to that organization with it. And that
Yeah.
was my wake up call as an advisor to say, listen, I have to add value here, but I can't add it on the deal side, on the financial part of the deal, but I can definitely add value to helping him plan what's beyond. And as it turned out, he did not fare well after his transaction
Oh
because he
boy.
suffered from a lot of the same losses that I experience with other business owners as well when they exit without a plan for what they're going to do next.
Yeah, and it is a profound challenge. I'm sorry you experienced that, and you've mentioned it a couple times. That was actually my first question for you. Was you had a long and successful career as a wealth advisor. What caused you to make the change?
Good. Very good question. Being in the business for so long, I had clients that I worked with over several decades or more. And I always thought that I took a holistic approach, that, I incorporated their planning with their investments and then family meetings and, leading them to estate planning and all of that. And what I started to notice with my clients as they progress through their careers and businesses and then on towards their exit, when they actually did make that move and exit their business or retire, as we used to call it, many
As
of
we
them were
used to
not
call it.
as
Yeah,
we used to call it, many of them were really not as happy as they thought they would be. They
yeah,
had bought into what I call the Hollywood version of retirement, go to Florida, play golf, travel a bit, that sort of life of leisure. And for most of them who were high achievers, very successful, that life of leisure wasn't enough. They were missing something important, something purposeful in their lives, something that they wanted to dedicate their time and their energy and their knowledge and wisdom to.
yeah,
And that was my wake up call to say, this isn't holistic. If I'm not integrating the client's life plan with their financial plan and helping them figure out what that next chapter looks like, then that's not taking a very holistic approach. And that's what really led me to ultimately sell my practice, which I did, and focus this next part of my career on this non financial side of planning, which is so vital for business owners and professionals. And it's such a leading resource, really, for financial advisors into the future as their portfolio management and financial planning has become table stakes and is endangered
yes,
of by AI and technology of not
yeah.
being valuable the way it was in the past.
Yeah, yeah, that's fascinating because we live in a time, Susan, and you just alluded to it. I talk about making sure for when I'm speaking with wealth advisors, make sure you're relevant. You're relevant to your client's largest asset, right? And we talk here at Growth Drive about creating an asset class business, a business from which you need not exit, right? And for a lot of business owners, selling the business outright is probably the worst possible answer. Helping them create a business from which they can harvest wealth and maintain the personal, all of the soft stuff, right? The lifestyle, the tax, sure, but the ego, if you will, benefits of owning a business is fantastic. What you're going, so my argument is be relevant to the business owner, and that comes out of a meeting we had actually in the boardroom of a very large um, wealth advisory firm, and we're in the boardroom, and that they were talking about the little whispers that happen at the deal table, which is what happened to you. When suddenly the money's disappearing out of the account, you're getting the "I'm so sorry, you've been great, we got to go." Um, but what you're getting at is a second, it's not a second layer. It is another leg of relevance, right? We need to be relevant to the business as an asset. No, I'm not advocating that wealth advisors become business advisors, but they need to be relevant to that asset. And you're saying be relevant to their life. And
Exactly.
I love that. I love that,
Exactly.
Susan.
And you and I are both CEPAs, so we know the whole notion of success to significance.
Yeah.
And, in
Full
the exit
confession, I'm
planning.
not a TIPA. I want to get that on the record.
Oh,
I
okay.
intend to be, but
Okay.
I'm on a lot of things, but SIPA isn't one of them.
Okay.
But keep
Well,
going. Sorry to interrupt.
success to significance is one of the
Yes.
adages, let's say, that is taught in the exit
Yes.
planning world. And it's always about a successful business to a significant business. And I feel that that doesn't go far enough. So you die and you have had a significant business. So what? It's all about did you live a significant life?
Hmm.
Of which the business is part of it. A significant business is part of a significant life. So there's so much more to life than just having a successful or a significant business. And that's what we really want to focus on with our business owner
Heck yes.
clients and the financial advisors, the catalyst and the quarterback, let's say, or the engine to really allow the business owner to live to that fullest possible extent. And this
Yeah.
based on books I've written in the past, The Rich Life. It's all about a philosophy of living a rich life, which is not about who has the most money in the graveyard, but the rich life defined as live well, give back, leave a legacy. And that's how I define the rich life.
Um, you know, I love that. I'm taking notes while you chat. Thank you. We talk about business advisors. A lot of people misunderstand how business advisors define success, right? And they may define success. I think there are really three aspects, at least in my experience. One is prosperity, right? Creating prosperity for their community. And that's profoundly, and even if we think of it simply in terms of the payroll that we support, as one advisor said, he's in his encore career as a growth driver. And he said, I didn't worry about my mortgage. I worried about 42 other mortgages. So prosperity, wealth, fair, right? That's equitable, and legacy. And we need to have that and legacy is so important. And the legacy part is probably, it's at least, would you say it's at least as important, more important? How do you think that, those
Oh,
all
at
mesh
least as
together?
important, as I
Yeah,
said. So
I
if you
agree.
die with a lot of money and you're very prosperous, kind of so what? But unless you activate that wealth and that prosperity to do something, to
Yes.
attach it to a purpose, and that purpose could be anything from family members to, charitable giving,
Yes.
philanthropy, working in community, volunteering. I mean, legacy is a multi-pronged
Yeah.
thing. But I always think when I read an obituary of someone that has passed away, if all they're known for is they built a big business, it's okay, it's great, but not the whole picture. But
Not the
if I
whole
read
picture.
about somebody whose legacy is their family, their community, their business, their industry, how they've helped to move the world forward, to me, that's the real legacy piece.
Yeah. 100%. 100%. It's funny. That's what gets me out of bed in the morning, and people have heard me talk about that enough. So, Susan, would it be okay if I asked you what it looks like when someone engages with you. Now, do you engage with clients directly?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
So what I just outlined previously was the programs and the services we have for advisors. But the
Yes.
other part of what we do is we actually work with individuals and couples. And often these are people referred by their financial advisor that recognizes they need some help and it's beyond the scope of what I can do. The same way they'd hand them off to a CPA or an attorney, it's beyond the scope of what they do. So we have a program called the Next Chapter Game Plan. And this is a 5-step process that we take people through to actually first identify in themselves, come up with the attributes that they have, their motivations, their lifestyle priorities. It's a high level of self-knowledge that they start with.
Yeah.
And then we get them really thinking and diving deep into, what's important to them. We build the clarity matrix, which is a combination of the assessment and the exercises. And then the framework we use to help them make a plan is called your happiness portfolio for your next chapter.
I love it.
So it's a portfolio concept in that it has 8 non-financial asset classes, so to speak. And just like any other good portfolio, it should be balanced and diversified. And we believe that this happiness portfolio for your next chapter also needs to have attention paid to these 8 asset classes. And money isn't one of them, by the way. It's all non-financial. The asset classes of the happiness portfolio will definitely have financial implications, but it's not part of the work that we do at all. We're not on the financial side, but when we do work with a client, it gives them so much clarity and insight that when they go back to their financial advisor, it's a lot easier to do a real custom financial plan and then build a portfolio or provide insurance or whatever other products and services they might need to make that happiness portfolio come to life for them.
Right. I love that because there are some more sophisticated planning services. There are some more sophisticated insurance products that can go a long way to delivering that. I really like. I had no idea. So you and I chatted for all of 5 minutes. I'm like, oh my God, I love what you do. Let's get on the podcast. Thank you.
Pleasure.
We start our engagements with what we call the growth conversation, which is it won't surprise you. I work with a lot of exit planners, but where's your life going? Like, how does this story roll out? We don't go anywhere near the depth that you do, but how do you define success in terms of prosperity, wealth, and legacy? And and we train in our certification to lead for as long as it takes a deep conversation, do some deep asking, some deep listening on these topics. And I believe that it is only when we've truly defined a successful life that we can then start talking about how the business does it need to serve that life, and if it needs to what extent can it today, and what needs to change for it to do that tomorrow. And a lot of that change won't surprise you. And I'll get off my soapbox. I apologize. It's your podcast. Um, but a lot of that change goes to lifestyle, right?
Right.
I do not want to be, perhaps maybe I should be able to run this business in 40 hours a week, 30 hours a week. Shock. And have that conversation before we start working on the business.
Right.
Heck yes.
Exactly.
Yeah, we're
Yeah.
kindred spirits. I absolutely, Susan. I love it. Um, how many years have so you were a wealth advisor. Did I understand correctly? 5 years with Next Chapter?
38. 38 years as a
30.
wealth advisor.
Oh, as a wealth
38.
advisor. I know. No,
Yes.
I meant, well, I'm like, well, you can't have 38 years of wealth
No, no,
advisor and
no, no.
38 years with Next Chapter.
No, we
Uh,
started, 38 years as a wealth advisor, sold the practice in 2019,
Good for
and
you.
started Next Chapter Lifestyle Advisors with my business partner, Marianne Osher, at the beginning of 20.
Yes.
So we're now into our 6th year,
Good for
and
you.
we both are certified professional retirement coaches. So we've got that certification, and we've just really worked with so many advisors and with clients that we knew we needed to develop more tools and resources. So we have our Next Chapter Readiness Scan, which is a tool that a financial advisor or any advisor really can use to start a conversation with a business owner. And it really shows their readiness for getting on with their next chapter. And we know from a lot of the research that's been done, a couple of things. One is that a lot of deals don't close at the 11th hour. And it has to
For
do with
emotional reasons.
for
Yeah.
emotional reasons. The
Yes.
finances are fine, the paperwork's all done, but for this emotional reason, that business owner pulls back. And it's usually because of fear of what happens next. Who
Yeah.
am I without this business? Why am I going to get up in the morning? What about all the friends I've made that are all working in the industry or in the business?
Yeah.
What does my day look like? I can only travel so much or play so much golf. But now
Yeah.
what? So that fear is what hijacks the deal at the 11th hour. The
Yes.
other statistic, which has been played out over more than a decade repeatedly, is that 75% of business owners regret their
Yes.
exit within the
It's a
first year.
heartbreak.
Heartbreak, really, to have felt that they didn't have anything more to go to, and that they should have just kind of worked until they dropped dead at their desk, kind of thing. Sad.
It it is
So
sad.
we really, as financial advisors, have to change that dynamic a lot. We have to get people ready to actually go through with their transaction and not fear, but actually get excited about their next chapter. And we have to prevent that 75% regret, which often has to do with emotional, not financial reasons.
Yeah, it's funny. I have a friend who's selling their business, and it's a significant business. I don't know what percentage of the revenue it generates for the town it's located in, but definitely more than half. It's it's a big deal, and I am really, really worried about her because this is one where she has built a very successful business, a business that can run without her, a business that is, that is going to go on to greater glory after she leaves. But the door is going to close. She is going to sign the closing paperwork. It's going to get sealed and attested, and then it's going to get very quiet very
Hmm.
quickly.
Yep. And
And
so
I
we train the advisors that she would be working with to watch for the red flags. So these are signs
So
that
what are you looking for? That's fascinating.
so red flags. So the things that might happen before the deal closes are the fear comes up,
Yeah.
the listening to others comes up. My partner doesn't think I should do this, or, I'm getting advice. So starting instead of following through with the plan, starting to let other voices enter into their head. The just straight procrastination, which is often the result of the fear showing
Yeah.
up.
Fair.
So when we're working with advisors, we identify these red flags, and then we give them scripts almost, or how to have the conversation to be able to address those flags. Of course, the advisors themselves and their clients should be educated on what the challenges are, the typical challenges that people face when they exit.
Yeah.
And our little acronym for that is SIPS, SIPS. So the first S stands for social connection. In this case of this business owner you're referring to, who are her friends and connections going to be once she exits the business? I dare
Sure.
say most of them are connected to the business. And even with the best of intentions, we find they kind of drift away after time when there's no reason for them to stay connected.
Yeah.
The I in STIP stands for identity. And this is a big issue for a lot of business owners. They associate their whole identity with their business card and their title.
You bet.
And, they can often be at let's say, a cocktail party, and they start it with I used to be. I used to be rather than
I
I am
was. Yeah.
today. So very close affiliation with their identity. The P stands for purpose, and we do know that purpose is a fundamental human need. We
It
have
is.
to have a reason to get up in the morning. So in her case, again, what will her new purpose be when she's no longer running the company? And the final S stands for structure. We all look forward to free days and time when we can just do whatever we want. But the reality is that unless we have plans to fill all those many hours that a business owner spends working, then people tend to sort of drift and adopt bad habits and then get down on themselves. And, bad habits, bad things can come
Sure.
from that.
Sure.
So
Yeah,
those
there
are
is.
the basic challenges that we see most people face. But if someone has been a very high achiever or, at the top of their game, then there are additional challenges they face, like the loss of their status, the loss of power and control,
Yeah, the
their
egos.
sense of
That's
achievement,
exactly right. It's
ego, all
important.
of
Yeah.
that. Yeah. So we
Yeah.
have a theory that the higher they reach, the harder they fall.
I I'll bet that's better than a theory. Unfortunately, it's probably a bit of a rule.
Yeah.
Um, Fascinating. Last year at our summit, we had a business owner who joined our community, and he said the hardest thing, and we ended up sort of doing an impromptu interview, and he said the hardest thing was on Friday. His email inbox was full. He was incredibly relevant. He was needed. He was wanted. He was called upon. And on Monday morning, he said the most surprising thing to happen in the transaction was that on Monday morning, it was stone silence.
Yep.
Not only was he not wanted or needed, he was actually, people were like, nope, nope, we can't go to that guy anymore.
Yep.
And
Yep.
it was really a very, very difficult adjustment. He's a wonderful man, but a
Hmm.
very difficult adjustment. My old man went through it, and simply with traditional retirement. My mom was funny. She's like, he's used to manage. He managed a lot or led a lot. And she's like, he's here and he's managing me,
I
and we
know.
need to prepare. We need to prepare the family as well.
Yeah, we hear that a lot from spouses who've been
Yeah.
running the home or, having a life of their own, and all of a sudden there's tremendous interference. And because that leadership has to come out somewhere. So if it's not happening in the workplace, it starts to show through in some not so pleasant ways at home.
Yeah. And yeah, the adjustments are big. Talk about a culture shock. Yeah. Yeah, but that's funny. So very, very cool. Now you are a faculty at EPI, right?
Correct. Yes.
And you're teaching that you said earlier, you teach the personal leg of the stool. How's that play out? You've been doing that for 2 years, you said?
Yes, yes,
Awesome.
yes.
How's
Prior
that?
to that, they've always had the three-legged
Yes, they have.
stool. It's
Yep.
always been part of the value acceleration methodology, but there was never any meat on the bones of it until they tapped us to come along and teach that. So we have a course on day one of the SEPA program of one module, and then there's an academy course for people that want to go deeper. But
Yeah.
that's as far as Exit Planning Institute goes. So that's why we've gone beyond that on our own through Next Chapter Lifestyle Advisors to provide both advisors with this program that really takes them deeper into the ability to do this kind of helping their business owners with this planning.
Sure.
And then we also have our Next Chapter game plan, which is often where the financial advisor says, I've got this client and I'm worried about them, or, they're in trouble, or I see trouble looming if they don't get a plan together. And then they refer them to us and we take them through our 5-step process and get them excited. That's the beauty of it is, it's not what you're retiring from, it's what you're retiring to or getting excited about
Amen.
doing.
Yes. Yes, yes, yes. And I think there's a tremendous opportunity in the market right now. I don't happen to be a big advocate for selling businesses. We talk about that as if it's the thing that must happen. And I think it might be healthier for many business owners, due to the statistics you've shared, to maybe stay at their desk but exit the accountabilities chart. Maybe
Right.
you
Mhm.
could go from being the president to being the CEO to being the chairman, and
Right.
and setting strategy and nudging direction for the firm, rather than making every decision every day.
Right.
Um, wow, I lost my train of thought, Susan. I apologize. But it's fascinating. It's fascinating if we can get people better prepared. You know, when people suffer, I don't know, it makes me sad.
Yeah.
And if we can figure out how to get there, I got my thought back. The opportunity for encore careers. There are hundreds of thousands of women and men selling their businesses, exiting their business, recapitalizing, and taking a smaller role. And to what extent might they be able to give back by helping their peers, by becoming,
Exactly.
basically your disciple, right? Becoming people, going out and saying, hey, here's what I went through. I'm on the other side of it. I'd like to spare you, brothers and sisters, and I think there's a tremendous opportunity to create, exit planners, to create business advisors, to get these people, keep them engaged, albeit in a different role.
Well, that's
Uh,
exactly what I did because
yeah,
I didn't want the traditional retirement, go to Florida, play golf. And I saw a problem in the financial services industry that I thought needed solving.
yeah,
So this is kind of my own core career,
I
but
love it.
I'm using all the understanding and hopefully some wisdom that I gleaned from 38 years working with clients and my peer group of advisors to bring some light and to leverage what I knew and what I experienced into new ways for advisors and clients to benefit.
Yeah, I'm super intrigued with and I'll be meditating on this. I'm super intrigued by your lifestyle. I like the entire idea of having a portfolio. I'd love to discuss that in more detail. I think that's probably healthy thinking, even for people like me who have absolutely no intention of retiring.
Right,
Um,
right. It shouldn't just be for your next chapter, really.
yeah,
To have a balanced life, it's a good idea to entertain these 8 areas while you're engaged and
yeah,
not just think of it as only what you're going to do afterwards. Because the people that I've met that really do live what I call a rich life do have balance. They have diversification. They
yes.
are involved in more than one thing, more than their business. And the happiness portfolio framework allows them to think consciously about each of the areas and actually make a plan because
Would
it's
would
so hard for people to get beyond their immediate priority of their business and to think in a bigger picture.
Yeah, it's fascinating because, I think, and I've said it often, that private business is the engine for the pursuit of happiness. It's the pursuit of happiness. It will never make you happy. And I've had a crazy career. Um, Money will not make you happy.
That's for
That
sure.
is a
That is
chimera.
for sure.
Yeah. And would you be willing to share, of those eight, just give a couple of, for examples? I'm not
Sure.
trying to have you divulge all of your IP, but I'm just curious.
Sure. So I think the some of the important areas are for a financial advisor. I think it's pretty critical to know what the professional intentions of your client are.
Yes, we
For
call it
example,
intent.
if you're
Yeah.
going to continue to make money, maybe start a new business, are you going to need capital from your portfolio? Does your income stop when you've exited or you change roles? Therefore, are you more dependent on your resources for your day-to-day income? So there are many implications on the professional front, and that is very safe territory for financial advisors to talk about with their client, and one that's so critical to be able to do the financial plan properly.
Yeah.
So professional is definitely an area. If someone has been very successful financially, and they know from the financial plan that there's no way that they can possibly use all the wealth resources they've developed, then one area of the happiness portfolio is giving back. It doesn't have to be financial. Some people
No,
like
it
to
doesn't.
volunteer or mentor or teach, but if you have been really financially successful, then this is where perhaps charitable giving, philanthropy comes into the picture. Again, the financial advisor should be involved in helping structure some of those programs, or whether it's a foundation or donor advised fund or straight charitable giving, it has implications for the financial advisor as well. I think leisure is what usually people associate with
Yes.
retirement.
Yep.
And to my mind, it's not the whole picture. I've heard from people, I'm sick of playing golf. I don't want to get on another airplane. Sitting on a beach in Florida doesn't do it for me all, months on end. So leisure sounds appealing because when we're working, we look forward to these little pockets of time that we can engage in leisure, but it's not the whole picture.
Yeah, Susan, I know, because our time, and your time, my time, all of us who are working quote unquote full time is our most constrained asset. When we do a traditional retire, like I'm done, I'm not working, then time becomes abundant,
That's
and
right.
your hobby is so much fun because it's some pleasure you're putting into your otherwise called upon time. It Believe me, I turned a hobby into a job, and I don't recommend it. Don't recommend. Fascinating. Susan, it's hard to believe we've been chatting for almost 35 minutes. What a fun conversation. I'm really grateful that we met. Do you have any, what as I shared with you, we have not interviewed a personal advisor before. And I was just curious, what am I missing? What have I not asked about that would be a great topic to round third base?
Right. I think we've covered a lot in this
Yeah, we
brief
have.
35 minutes.
Great.
We've talked about the program for financial advisors and
Yep.
how how we train financial advisors to administer a quick assessment to assess readiness, to identify the flags that are holding a business owner back from moving on, the common challenges that business owners face, and then, as a financial advisor, what your role is in integrating the personal plan into the financial plan. So, we've covered off a lot on the financial advisor side. As far as the actual business owner themselves, we've talked about the next chapter game plan, which is our structured process that we take people through to develop, just as important as the financial plan, their life plan for either when they're not 100% absorbed in the business and they're starting to entertain other things in their life, or when they do finally exit. So those are the two main avenues of our work, is working with the actual
I love it.
business owner. And the one thing I want to add there is the importance of involving the spouse.
I was about to ask that question.
Yeah, very important, because we know that there's a very high divorce rate for people at this stage of life.
Yes.
And often the catalyst is being on different planets when it comes to what they want in their next chapter. So it's a great idea for a business owner, whether the spouse is or isn't involved in the business at all, to be part of that planning of what the next chapter entails.
100%, 100%. And, it seems to me, as you were describing, as you just said something a couple minutes ago that triggered, it seems to me, if you're a wealth advisor and you're looking at a client and you're like, wow, they are not happy working, and I don't believe they're going to be happy not working, bringing you in to start to say, there's actually there's a better road. There's another option. And the more you explore it, the more you may come to make friends with the fact that working 60 hours a week is there's an alternative. And it need not be, it seems to me, it need not be an either or. It's a, I want to work less in the business. I want to work more on
my life,
whatever it is, my life.
Mm-hmm.
And I would say that then you will truly enjoy your hobbies, because if you're able to take, 2 weeks to go fly fishing in Patagonia without any negative impact on the business, huzzah, right?
Yeah, yeah, exactly. So it's working on your life to be able to
I love that.
enjoy and live in your life. And that's the planning piece of it.
I absolutely love it, Susan. You've given me a lot of ideas. We will be talking again. Susan, thank you so very much. This is a wonderful conversation. I really appreciate your time.
Such a pleasure to be here. If anyone has any additional questions, feel free to either visit our website, which is nextchapterlifestyleadvisors.com, or reach out to me at Susan@nextchapterlifestyleadvisors.com. That's
And it's
SUSAN.
advisors plural. Yeah.
It's advisors plural. Yes.
And Susan, the traditional SUSAN. And of course, we will post your contact information here with the podcast. Fantastic. Listen, thank you very much. And I know we're going to be talking again.
Super. George, glad to be here.
Awesome.